Hi everyone, I'm Madison Sacramone, and my research explores urban acupuncture as a process for activating regenerative potential through people and place. The core idea behind this work is that cities already contain hidden capacities for regeneration. We just need to better understand our urban systems in order to identify and activate these opportunities. Today, many cities are focused on sustainability, reducing harm, improving efficiency, and responding to existing problems. But regeneration asks a different question, not just how our cities can survive, instead how they can regain the capacity to thrive. Many of our urban challenges today come from legacy systems, decisions of the past like car-centric planning, which have created fragmented places and communities. We need to consider how today's decisions shape our future places. Regenerative thinking moves beyond simply maintaining systems towards rebuilding relationships and resilient networks. So what actually makes a regenerative city, or a regenerative place? Regenerative city isn't a future utopia. The elements already exist, they just need to be reactivated. Imagine a future regenerative place. What might it have? What might it look like or feel like? We might imagine amplifying community care networks, a reciprocal relationship with our natural world, stronger social connections, and capitalizing on local knowledge and skills. The Sugi project pictured here is a great example. They create small pocket forests in underutilized spaces, but the most important thing is that they design, plant, and maintain them all within the local community's capacities. So the intervention is not just ecological. It builds stewardship, education, skills, and community care networks. These projects create connected networks across scales, from local to international, almost like invisible infrastructures. When we hear the word infrastructure, we usually think about roads, transport, or utilities. Cities are not just buildings and streets, though. They're reciprocal relationships between people and place. But the value of civic infrastructure is often underutilized. Civic infrastructures emerge through the interaction of the physical, social, cultural, and ecological systems. These networks support collective urban life. Our places shape how we live, connect, and interact with each other as well as our environments. In turn, our social networks influence the quality of these places and environments, their longevity, and their resilience. Urban acupuncture aims to amplify these networks. In my research, I define it as a process for identifying and activating latent potential in cities through these social and spatial relationships. Precise interventions act as leverage points that catalyze transformations towards regenerative places. I have a particular interest in interventions that activate social and ecological networks simultaneously. Examples of this might be community gardens, nature education, active mobility, cultural events, and so on. One of the most important principles, however, is that the process is based in a deep understanding of place before intervention happens. The concept comes from traditional Chinese medicine, where acupuncture stimulates precise pinpoints in the body to rebalance the nervous system and energies. Urban acupuncture applies this idea to the city itself, viewing the city as a living system, where precise pinpoints represent minimal interventions which can have catalyst effects for maximal positive impacts. The process begins with listening and observing, diagnosis, connection, activation, and eventually regeneration, which in itself is an iterative process, always evolving. An important tool in this process is mapping. Maps don't just represent places, they shape how we understand and how we relate to them. Have you ever thought about who has created the maps that you're using and how that changes your perspective of place? Traditional top-down maps, like planning documents, are often focused on land use, infrastructure, and economic development. They can overlook meaningful elements of urbanity like culture, lived experience, and community identity. Mapping becomes a part of diagnosing the urban system, helping to reveal hidden capacities and relationships. Community-led mapping offers an entirely different perspective. These examples are from a local organization, Dundee Changemakers, and they show how communities represent their own experiences of place. These maps are often more emotional, human, and relational. They reveal things that formal planning processes may miss, like memory, identity, care, and local knowledge. But because they are personal and qualitative, they are often undervalued within policymaking. This is where middle-out actors become really impactful. They include civic organizations, charities, consultants, and local professionals. They act as bridges between communities and governments, and they can translate community knowledge into forms that influence planning and policy while remaining connected to people and place. In my research, these middle-out actors are positioned as practitioners of urban acupuncture, and they're able to amplify the value of social and ecological interventions within a governing system that prioritizes quantitative metrics and constant economic growth. Urban acupuncture intends to create ripple effects beyond the intervention. It's not only about acupuncture points, it's about the positive reaction that those points create. An example of this is the Eden Project's wildflower meadow at Morgan Academy in Dundee. At first glance, it's simply a meadow, but the cumulative effects extend beyond the site itself, creating new networks of community stewardship, education, biodiversity, and even challenging the way that urban green spaces are managed in Dundee. Small interventions like this can begin to reactivate wider systems towards regeneration. For these interventions to last, however, coordination between actors is essential. Groups like Dundee Changemakers and the Eden Project Scotland helped connect communities, institutions, and local action to form what I like to call the Urban Support Network. This makes possible the civic infrastructures that sustain regeneration over time. Cities already contain the seeds of regeneration. The challenge is learning how to recognize, connect, and activate them. And that's where urban acupuncture comes in. Thank you.